Let me invite you all to the second session of Monsoon Marathon 2.0. And today the theme is Precision Remedial. Our first session was on a smart diagnostic. And after we have identified the learning gaps using a smart diagnostic, naturally this comes as a very logical second step, wherein what will we do after we have identified those learning gaps? So that would be the overall theme. And before that, for those who probably missed the first session, let me quickly give a very, a high-level overview of what we are discussing today. So in the whole Monsoon Marathon 2.0 series, our objective is to help educators break out from the, help educators, help their students break out of the intelligence trap, because we in our recent offline and online experiments and researchers figured that most of the students, to be precise 75% of the students who come across to be lazy, not interested, and probably not even that intelligent, are actually very smart and intelligent when we put them outside the context of academics. And then we further deep dive to understand that what's stopping them from unleashing their intelligence in context of academics. And these were some of the top contributors that we found that was blocking or hindering the growth and progress of those smart students, intelligent students in context of a classroom. And in previous session, which was focused on a smart diagnostic, we addressed the problem of invisible knowledge gaps. In today's session, we would be specifically focusing on the boredom frustration cycle, wherein most of the students, especially smarter students, when they find something that they already know and they find something easy in lectures, they tend to lose interest. And if they lose interest, then they're not listening. And by the time the teacher has reached a complex topic, which probably they don't know, they have already stopped listening. They're not listening now. And so they miss that also. And then they go back home and then they try to do self-study, or when they, try to learn it in their coaching or tuition. And since they've already missed so much at the school, then it gets a little difficult for them to catch up, which leads to the frustration part. So then they are kind of stuck in the cycle of boredom. This is what we would be discussing today. Again, Mr. Praveen, I will have you from the, you keep unmuting yourself again and again. Thank you very much for that. And yes, so with that, I think I have given a quick context of what boredom frustration cycle is. And it is a very common issue in regular offline or online classes where we manage to bring in individual level precision. And in this session, my promise is to help you understand that how we can deploy artificial intelligence as well as human intelligence to break the century-old problem of boredom frustration cycle. And for that, we have three amazing experts from our community who have volunteered to come and share their expertise and insights on this theme. And I would like to invite Ms. Bindu Subhash on the stage, who is a science expert and has been a very integral part of the remedial team at their school in Oman. And with that, welcome, Bindu ma'am. And I would love for you to share very briefly that how have you seen schools implementing remedial at scale? Like what exactly are the steps that some of the best schools are following today to help students fix their foundational and learning gaps? So over to you.
Thank you, Shweta. Good evening once again to one and all. Being a part of the team, remedial team at school, what we usually see and we used to work was for only the board going students, the students who used to appear for the board exams. But then later when we dwelled into it, we understood that it has to be given at each and every point. And then the first aim from last 2 years is to find it earlier. The earlier, the better. So when the first exams are over in school, we start off with the remedial, which is like small batches and small groups that school teachers itself take it up. It can be on a weekends, it can be after the school hours, depending upon the number of students that are there. And we break them up into groups in such a way that we can handhold them. And we also first try to figure out what is missing in them. And that takes a little bit of time, wherein I felt that Neo AI helps a lot Because when you do that, you get a clear picture of where the child is missing. But here in our context, we work it out in a day or two. We try to find out what is missing in them, and then we first start with that. So we go easy, and then we go into the complex steps. And once the tasks are attainable for all the students in that group, then we start giving them task sheets, summary sheets. We ask them to prepare, and that's how they build confidence, and they feel that yes, now we can also do it, and we can be at par with the other students in the class. That's how it goes.
Okay, thank you. That's very insightful. So, to summarize, right now you are identifying the missing gaps manually by
Yes,
giving them some worksheets and assignments, which takes about 1 to 2 days.
sure.
And then you make small groups based on what common gaps have been identified, and then the remedial program kind of kicks off. And
Yes,
I'm sure it would be very, very operational heavy activity, which is why you were only doing it for board students earlier. But now
yes,
you felt the need to do it even for other students, and you're taking a steps towards how it can be implemented.
yep,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Bindu ma'am, it would be great if you could also throw some light on what kind of challenges you faced in implementing this process at scale. That now that you're trying to do it for other grades also, and
Yeah.
you mentioned that it's a little operational heavy activity. So, what
Hmm.
exactly those challenges are that you have faced?
The first basic challenge is the group is large, and
Mm-hmm.
each individual is having a gap which is different from the other person. So, to club them into a group, bringing in a common point takes time. And then to personalize it is the next task. So, the larger groups are first identified, and then we need to put them apart based on what they are missing. Then the groups are getting made, and then we need to, as I said, start from the scratch. Like there are some children who will be in the group who don't know anything about it and have lost confidence in such a way that they say that my subject is chemistry, okay, and if there are anyone in the chemistry here, they will agree to me that in grade 9, 10, 11, 12, they find it very difficult when we differentiate it to chemistry, physics, biology and start with it. So we go easy and we make them first understand that it's just a part of science, but a little bit in detail, and then we start building on that. So slow by slow, first it goes very slow, and then later it picks up speed when they start catching up, and when they start self what you call working out and self reflection, which usually children don't do. So
Mm-hmm.
by the end of every session we try to make them reflect on themselves and find out, did you catch up on what was missing? Are you feeling confident? Can we move ahead to the next session? And when the answer comes as yes or a smile, then the task was attained.
Got it. So what I gather is that the most difficult part is the initial part, wherein you
Yes.
have to bring them back into the system, wherein they have lost confidence, lost interest, and they are feeling totally dejected. At that
Yes.
point, to pull them back out of from that place. And once they start getting those small wins, then it becomes a little easier for them.
True.
I think that is
Correct.
one major challenge. Got
Yes.
it. And of course the scale that you mentioned, to do this, to handhold each and every child,
It's a big task.
with them and then pull them out. I think I can't imagine doing it at a larger scale. So hats off to you and the whole team which is doing it there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So great. So we have seen that what some of the best schools are doing to fix these kind of knowledge gaps and what challenges they are facing. So next up, I would like to invite Kritika ma'am, who have been taking online and offline classes for a long time, and she's also math expert at Army Public School Shankar Bihar, as well as she is one of the first person to lead a hybrid model of Neo AI smart classes, wherein we are using both AI and human-led smart tuitions. So, first of all, welcome, Kritika. I'm so glad to have you here with me today.
Thank you so much, Shweta. Once again, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Shweta. Thank you so much for inviting me in for this session.
Yes, and
Yes.
Kritika, like since you have been in the system offline, online, and now you have been doing cohort classes at Neo also, I would love for you to share your experience with the audience. That has it been any different doing these two sets of classes? And I want you to share your perspective as an educator.
Right. So, first of all, as Bindu ma'am mentioned, that identifying these learning gaps at certain stages, when it's too late to identify, we can't provide remediation at the right time. So identifying the learning gaps is very, very important in the cycle of learning for all the educators. So for me, the experience online has been really, really, let's say, steadfast, because the initial step, which is the most time taking, had been taken care of by Neo. As AI was used to identify those targeted learning gaps, it became very, very easy for me to focus only on those areas where the children are lagging. So when I have identified the gaps, it's very easy to provide timely intervention, timely remediation to the children, so that they can still stay in this loop of learning and they're not lagging behind with their peers in comparison to their peers. Right. So for me, the process of remediation is very time taking in an offline setup in a normal classroom setting. But when it comes to our hybrid model, where we are using AI to identify and put in the initial stage and find out the learning gaps, that becomes easier and also very effective, because timely intervention is what we miss out in our normal classrooms. We're not able to provide timely intervention, so we do not get the desired results at the end of the academic session. Second thing I feel that was very different was the commonality of learning gaps. Here, what we are doing in our human-led interventions is, after identifying the learning gaps, we are forming cohorts of students who have similar learning gaps. It could be a case of 6th, 7th, and 8th. The concepts are somewhat similar. Yes, the basic is same. So what we are doing is we're clubbing them in one group and we are addressing that group together so that their foundation is laid thoroughly. But when I talk about this in a normal offline setup, what happens is I can deal with one class at one time only. So the students they might be at a different stages of gaps, learning gaps, but they are not addressed appropriately. So that becomes a big challenge for us to address to their needs. What we are doing is just providing remediation, and that becomes ineffective in the offline setup because we are not dealing with the targeted learning gaps. Here we are dealing with the targeted learning gaps and providing the suitable remediation in time. So that's about it from my experience.
Thanks, Ritika. So I would also like you to comment on the size of cohorts that you feel that, is appropriate. Like in, normal classes, we generally have 10, 15, 16, and in school, conventional schools, so we even have 30, 40 students in one group. And in tuitions, home tuitions, wherein, we send our child to neighborhood, there we have seen an average of 8 to 10 students in a group. Then there are private tutors who come home and teach the child in silo, like personalized one-on-one classes, right? And then there is, small cohorts where there is also some surface of interaction, but still student gets good enough personal attention. So what's your take on the format of this cohort? Should it be large, medium, small, or one-on-one as per the activity of learning?
Okay. So as we have seen in our traditional settings that, when we talk about a school system, the remedial groups, they usually have larger numbers. From what I have seen, I usually have minimum 10 to 15 students in one batch. And that is as ineffective as in a classroom. I cannot address to each and everyone's, learning gaps, their doubts, their problems, their issues. And I cannot even pay proper attention in a 35, 40-minute setting. But when I talk about one-to-one intervention, what we miss out in those one-to-one classes, the tuitions, is the setting where they get the opportunity of peer learning, collaborative learning. That element is missing. So what I feel in what we have tried to achieve in this cycle, in hybrid cycle, is we are trying to form groups of 3 to 5 students at max, wherein there are targeted groups with common learning gaps, but also we can find out ways to help them develop collaborative learning, peer learning, get inspired, and be the inspiration for others to learn from each other. So this is basically the ideal concoction for getting remedial intervention with not just large groups and not very small groups, but the medium-sized groups that is absolutely appropriate for our intervention. Learning is not just related to the knowledge that we get. Everyone can read books, go through surf through internet and find things. But learning also involves learning from your peers, learning from your society, learning from your environment. So that element is also covered in our human intervention part.
That's wonderfully explained, Kritika. I think I couldn't have put across that point so effectively. And it actually took us multiple rounds. Like I can't even, I don't even have the count on my finger, wherein we experimented with 1-on-1, 2, 3, 10, 6 randomly. And then we were observing the way the students are interacting, how comfortable they are, how much attention they are able to get from the instructor. And then finally, we also at NEO, our team has, arrived at 3 to 5 is probably the best size, wherein we have seen good interaction, optimal learning, and also comfortable for the instructor also, right? They also don't get overwhelmed with, large numbers. So moving on, I would like to invite my dear friend Abhishek, who is a technology expert at MET Global School, and knows, he keeps, playing with technology and keeps telling me some interesting stuff around it. So Abhishek, welcome, and for making time for the session today. And I would like you to share your perspective on what do you think is the most powerful capabilities of AI that it brings to table when we are talking about targeted remedial.
First of all, good evening to everybody present here, and very rightly said by my previous experts who were talking about the gaps and all. So definitely some of the topic were there which was in my mind, like the cohort size which ma'am was talking about. So that's not one-to-one, definitely. From the technology perspective, if I talk about, the problem remains the same when we have a larger number of people in the classroom. So it becomes difficult to identify the learning gap, and there comes the use of AI based technology. And definitely when we talk about how AI can help, so AI can analyze individual student performance even if we are in whatever size of cohort we are going on with. Then also we have that advancement or benefit of AI based technology, which provides us the insight about individual students performance, how they are progressing in any particular direction. And definitely we can easily identify the learning gaps at a very early stage, what others were talking about, because early intervention, as others also said, it's very much important. And definitely one more thing which I would like to add, it's dynamic in nature, so we cannot go with the same path again and again. So when we talk about AI, so ultimately it is improving with the time, with the feedback. So the algorithm, how it is working, so it is adaptive in nature. So that is the technological advancement which I can think of, that is quite helpful. And everything is on your tip. So let's say you have figured out the particular learning gap using the AI based technology. Immediately similar those kind of worksheet can be provided to that particular student. I have also used that Neo assistant, and I have seen that, and definitely it leads to the improvement in the knowledge of the student, and they can figure out and improve according to their personal learning path, which is very much important. And we cannot fit everybody in the same box. So definitely it is required to have different learning path, which is definitely not possible in a conventional classroom setting. Because whenever we talk about, teachers are already overloaded with a lot of work. So it's practically not possible to go to each and every student and figure it out how the personal learning path are being achieved. Right. So this is the thing. One scenario I would like to talk about where it works. So let's say in a large public school, we have provided AI-driven flags. So in a school setting itself, we can get the early flags. Let's say where the problem is in math or language acquisition. And very recent thing which is being implemented by CBSE, shuffle examination. That is also kind of competency-based assessment. So there also they are figuring out the same thing. What are the learning gaps at different stages? So the same thing is there, even if we can do on the regular basis, because that is not on a regular cycle, right? So that is happening once in a year. And if we are doing the same thing, where are the gaps on a continuous basis? And definitely, it's not about giving feedback only. It should be taken as a feed forward also. What action we have to take in future. So these are the things where the technology can help a lot. So this is my take on this. Yeah.
Thanks, Abhishek. So I would quickly summarize for the audience. So I think one thing that you mentioned is personalized assessments. It's
Yes.
not possible to make different set of questions for each and every child depending on their weaknesses. And even, if we were to differentiate between shuffle happens only once in a while. And again, the questions are standard. So again, they are not able to do it, depending on the high level weak areas of each student. The system is not adaptive in a way that it will then deep dive into the areas which are diagnosed as weak in the first level. But with AI, what we can do is we can at a high level first identify that what are the problem areas, and then we can do a personal deep dive into those areas for each student individually. That is what we call adaptive nature of assessments, wherein we then find the reason that why that student is struggling in that specific area. Is it because of some competency gap, or is it because of some knowledge gap, or is it because of some fundamental foundation gap, or is it just because the student is not right now paying attention or focus? So there could be multiple reasons, and with AI we can identify exact reason and then we can put it into a remedial loop. So I think that is one area where AI has been very, very effective. I think I would like to add one more area where I think AI can bring in a lot of value, and that I have personally felt is lesson plans. So once we have identified that, okay, there are, certain areas where the whole class or a certain group or a certain student is facing issue, we can use AI to create, what do we say? There is a specific academic term for it. I'm forgetting it. Differentiated
Yeah, differentiated.
lesson plans depending on those identified learning gaps. So if we put some nice prompt and if we train the systems properly on the curriculum and the guidelines, I have seen some very good results that we are also using. I think Kritika and Bindu ma'am have probably seen some of those lesson plans that we have generated using AI. So we will also show you guys a glimpse of it towards the end if time permits. But in the interest of time, I would now move to the second question to Abhishek. So, Abhishek, where do you see limitations of AI in remedial? So, we have spoken about wherein all AI can be very powerful, but where do you think it has not given very good results and we still need human intervention there?
Yes. So it's still, if we talk about, so definitely everything is having its a limitation also. So we have to take care of that limitation also. So right now, when we talk about the AI models which has been trained, so definitely the one thing is hallucination. Most of the time we see that what kind of output we are getting, uh, it's not as per the context. So we have to take care of that. Apart from that, when we talk about where human intervention is very much required, is emotional intelligence and let's say motivation. So, for example, all the students are there, everything is in place, but from where the motivation will come? So we have to push them as a human being. That human touch is required. As a teacher, when we are there, let's say. If we talk about YouTube is there for a long time, everything is available on YouTube. But how many of us are going there and getting all the things, the intake? So motivation factor is there, which comes, from the human touch. So as a teacher or the facilitator, we can be there and we can tell them, we can motivate them continuously so that they can go in that path. They can utilize all those resources, whatever is being provided by all this technology related edtech tools. Apart from that, when we talk about contextual understanding, that is also important factor. Whatever prompt we are writing, it's not always necessary that it will be able to understand the context, in what context we are asking that. Let's say the model has been trained on the basis of US based data, so it will not be that relevant in a particular area. Or let's say a student is writing an essay and using a local idiom, right? So might be it would be said as incorrect or assessed as incorrect by the AI assisted tools, right? But that is not incorrect. So there comes the human intervention and human touch, where it is very much required to intervene and see that how much we are going forward and how we are taking the things forward. So these are the area. Apart from that, one very important that I forgot. Yes, that is very much important. Building the trust and the connection with the human beings. We feel that warmth whenever someone is there with us in any tough time and all. So there comes the role of the teachers. It is not limited to the teaching learning process. Teachers are having their connection with the student, which is lifelong. Sometimes so many students are connected even if they are not studying in the school. So that trust and trust building would not be there. Definitely, that is the limitation of AI, and that can be provided by the teachers or the facilitators. Yes.
Yes. Thanks, Abhishek. So again, to summarize, AI models, especially the ones, which are not fine-tuned, on which we have not worked ourselves. If you talk about the GPTs and Claude and Geminis of the world, they are all not trained on Indian data set for CBSE curriculum, and especially for learning use case. So we cannot rely on these models and give direct access to students for learning purpose. So that is where AI still has to win trust. and of course all the human touch elements, wherein emotions and those kind of the softer parts of softer aspects of personality come in, be it trust building, motivating the students, and pulling them out from a place wherein they have lost. So we still need people like Bindu ma'am, and teachers who can understand the emotional state of the child, and build that rapport with them, make them break out of that shell and then move forward. So thanks, Abhishek. And I would like to share with our audience some, snapshots of the student experience. So far we saw, Kritika shared her perspective as an educator, that how this AI plus HI model works. And we have had few students and who have been taking these kind of interventions, wherein they take the AI diagnostic, they take AI remedial also, which is then topped up by, AI powered class, which is then taken into a small cohort size of 3 to 5. And so far we have been getting phenomenal response from the students, from the parents, subjective as well as objective. So there are a lot of learning gaps, which Kritika says that even before I take the next session, those learning gaps are not there anymore. So that way we have even seen a very fast progression in covering up the learning gaps which are identified by the system. And with that, I'll quickly move to the next part of the session, wherein I want each of our experts to share 2-3 most indispensable human skills that the teachers must develop today, so they do not get replaced by AI in future. So if I were to, let's say about, like motivating the students or building trust is one aspect. So how do we do that? What skills should I have as an educator to be able to pull off that human intelligence aspect of my role? So first, Abhishek, I would like to hand over to you.
Yeah. So, beyond AI, what skill teachers should have, or even the students also, the things come. One thing I have already talked about, like emotional connection and empathy. Apart from that, critical thinking is one of the major things. Problem solving skill and critical thinking, that should be inculcated in all students, as well as teachers should also have problem solving skill. If a student is coming with any of the problems, so we have to be, up over there to solve that problem immediately, and adaptive in nature. So very much important how adaptive we are as educator also, so that we can cater the requirement of the student as per their need, not just in a set mode. So these are two things coming in my mind, which is very much important. Yeah.
Thanks, Abhishek. And just to quickly add to that, educators, you can probably look into this design thinking course. It's a beautiful step-by-step problem solving plus empathy developing workshop, which will help you inculcate these skills which Abhishek just spoke about. Now, moving on to our next expert, Kritika, over to you. If you were to name 2-3 top skills.
Okay, so firstly, I think Abhishek has, aptly summarized that what kind of skills we need to complete this model of identifying the gaps and remedying it in time.
Mhm.
Also, providing the human intervention at the right time with the right resources. The skills that I feel are there, which the humans can only provide and not any AI, is firstly the kind of environment, the conducive, the supportive environment, the positive environment, where AI cannot detect a human's emotion and provide the suitable settings for it. Only a person can understand the other person's emotions and provide the what they need. So the suitable environment, also the environment to build skills like peer learning, collaborative learning, communication skills. So these social skills that they develop in these settings are things that AI cannot inculcate in them. So these two things I feel are where human intervention plays a very, very important role in our system.
Beautiful points, Kritika. I think AI, even if it will just give at high level, okay, your room should be like this, and you should be wearing, it will not be able to make the student implement it. A teacher knows that I have to talk to the parent and how I have to put this point across, so they support the student in building the right kind of atmosphere and environment.
Absolutely. The attitude actually is developed with the right kind of prompts provided by the teacher, the facilitator who's present there. They get bored by responding to automated exercises, assignments, and everything. But when they find that encouragement, when they find that the teacher is providing them with some appreciation, their actions are acknowledged, their improvements are noted. So that gives them that motivation to work harder and show better results to their teacher. So that is where I feel that humans can never be replaced.
True, totally aligned. And just to Bindu ma'am, if you were to add to this list, what would that be?
It will be, the first one will be the teacher turns a parent monitor in academics for them. And the teacher needs to become a monitor, a facilitator, a guide, and a hand holder. And as ma'am and sir said, someone who will keep on backing them, saying that, yes, beta, yes, you have done it, and you can go ahead. If this thing starts working in, the self-learning habits fall in place. Next time when they are sitting for a class, they will think once, okay, now what is it that I was missing? Okay, this was it. I caught it. Now I should not miss it. So if there is someone who can be with them and be a model who says that it's okay if you've forgotten now, just reflect on it. Just rethink, close your eyes and see whether you can recollect what was it, and they get it. So the moment self-learning and reflection are walking in, they will be in a better place. This is one. The second is the environment from which the child comes. As you said, the social, the geographical, the families that they are a part of. The examples that we pick up may not suit everyone the same. So the teacher who is in front of them knows, understands, discusses with them, and brings them the point that needs to be caught, and it should be time driven. We cannot ask them just go, you refer and look into this YouTube or into that page, read it and come back. No, this is what it is. In 5 minutes the thing is done. The child feels okay, for this I was searching for so much, and now my what do you call, teacher has helped me out, and if the teacher was not there, I would have been lost. So the motivation already moves in, and they are in a cycle of a repeating, revising and reflecting, and they become self adaptive to that.
Right. Thank you, Bindu ma'am. I think having both all three experts have shared wonderful points, and it's the facilitation part which will never be replaced by AI, and we as teachers have to take up that role. And there are a lot of aspects to it, wherein problem solving, critical thinking, the empathy part, and understanding the context. And there are ways to develop these skills, like ice breaking. Some students are very shy, they won't speak up. So how do you make them talk? So these are certain skills that we need to develop. And I am working with the team to put together such programs wherein we can train the educators on developing such soft skills. What are some prompts that work all the time? How can you make the student laugh in a class? How can you make them feel lighter? So I have seen, in fact, Kritika also do such things in her cohort, and I found them very effective. So we are working on few more things, and then we will collate it together and we'll bring to you. But yeah, in the scope of today's session, we will touch only at high level, but that what those skills can be. And then in further sessions, we will deep dive into those. So I think we are right on time. And before wrapping up for today's session, I think I would love to give you a quick demo of how this diagnostic and remedial loop works for the students. So suppose there is a student, right? And they have on their home, they get, these remedial exercises and diagnostic exercises depending on their current learning state. So if I take a specific diagnostic, I think I will not waste time by taking one new diagnostic quiz, but I will probably go here and show you something that I might have taken earlier. So physics. So once I complete a specific diagnostic, I get this kind of report. Okay, what was my accuracy? What were the questions that I got wrong? What were the questions I got right? I can specifically click on a question and see that what was the question, what were the options, what was the explanation. And right here, I get a CTA to remedy the related concept. So I can, click on remedial, and then my learning content will also kick off right from there. Damaged components generally come here if something is critically damaged. Otherwise, other concepts that the student has attempted in this specific 10 questions. We generally give only 10 to 12 questions because that's the beauty of AI, how we can make it effective and we can optimize it for time. And as well as, we don't want to give repeated concepts or redundant concepts to students, which we know that he already knows, or certain concepts which we know are too high for the student right now. So just in the right zone, which gives us the required insights to move forward, just those concepts. And then we can see that how the student has fared on those concepts and how much they have progressed from the last time. So this is what we see in the kind of, a diagnostic. And if I show you AI remedial. So we also trigger AI based remedial for the students who have some intrinsic motivation, who are like not that dejected. For them, this also works to some extent. So depending on what concepts have been identified as weak, they can take up a remedial mission wherein they get some learning content related to that. They can also ask the AI to explain it further or summarize it or translate it. And then they, from that specific content, they get their next questions. It's interspersed with some questions also, on which obviously they get gems and they get points for that if they get it right. So gamification is another whole domain that we can talk about. But this is what we are calling targeted remedial. So they get only those exercises which they need to work on. And then depending on their complete profile, this is what is accessible to teachers, the neo teachers who take the cohort based human powered classes. And here they can actually see, so suppose if Kritika ma'am have to take maths class for this child, so she can come here and she can see that, okay, how many concepts are identified as weak right now, and then she can prioritize it. Okay, roots of equation, factorization method, these are some concepts where mastery is 0, growth is 0. And I can also see the evidence for each of these concepts, that why the system has flagged it as weak. So which questions did the student attempt, what they answered wrong, and this gives them that one additional layer of context to plan their lessons. And I think I will also take a moment to show the lesson plans that we generate. Just a second.
फिर ऐसा क्यों करते हो?
Setting up
आपके
equation.
calculations का भी कैसे wrong हो सकता है?
Excuse me, someone, are you saying something? Okay. So, Chike, I think that will, I'm also looking at the time constantly. So I'll save the lesson plan for the next time. And I will move back to the main presentation here. And I will summarize the whole thing for you all. So what's the difference between regular classes and precision classes, which is powered by Smart Diagnostic? So here, I think my presentation screen is visible, right? Okay. So all the students are motivated initially. Okay. By nature, all of us want to win. We have that competitive spirit. So when we enter the school for the first time, we all enter with the dream that we will top our class. But then what happens? The education system is such that it's a group setup, first of all, and then the students are expected to concentrate for 6 to 7 hours straight. How is that humanly possible? It is not. The system is in itself broken. But if we were to work with this broken system, we will see what we can do, with whatever best we have. So obviously the students cannot concentrate constantly for 6 to 7 hours straight. It's very natural to miss few things. They will be talking to their, benchmate, or they would be dreaming something. They will lose concentration and they will develop some gaps. Now, a lot of these gaps are accumulating since the day one they have started going to school, and they have become now invisible. Now, invisible gaps, once they start showing up in the marks of the student, initially they don't show up only. Once they start showing up, then the parents decide to send them to a tuition or coaching. Now, what happens here in this regular tuition or coaching? Since we don't know what these invisible knowledge gaps are, we just repeat the same thing that was done at school. Now, when we are repeating the same thing, the students enter the boredom frustration cycle. Because, what they start off with, the student has already heard it in bits and pieces. So they think that they know it. And by the time they reach the complex topic, which probably they might have missed, they have lost the ball altogether. Ultimately, the student finds himself disengaged, demotivated, and they start pretending as if they don't care. Most of the students pretend as if they don't care because they don't want to come across as someone who is putting in effort and yet not getting the outcome, right? So it's better to just say that मेरे को तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. So now we will see what we can change in this system with the power of AI. Motivates the student, goes to class. Obviously, there would be some invisible gaps like earlier, but now we introduce effective smart diagnostic, which should not take more time and it should not make the student feel dumb also. Okay, so it should be personalized so that we are just, bringing in questions which are relevant to the student and in his capability. So a very quick and optimized smart diagnostic wherein we identify the gaps and we prioritize it for the student. And then after that, we give precision remedial with AI and our expert tutor who comes with all those human intelligence, human skills that we just spoke about, who facilitates, who helps in, building that kind of environment, motivates the student and everything. And post that, we ended up with another precision diagnostic. So here, the idea is to just focus on those concepts which were taught in this session to just verify that whether the student has got it. And then the student starts developing more confidence and they thrive. And this method is like foolproof. There is no loophole in this method. So whatever the humans can't do, we have AI to do it. And whatever AI can't do, we have humans to do it. Now we just have to use at the right place at the right time. And that brings me to the hands-on activity for this session. So I will be sharing the feedback form, or you call it attendance form, in the chat right now. And it will have 6 questions from this session. If you answer 4 out of them correctly, which would be like a proof for me that you have watched the whole session. So then I will send each of you your personal link for Smart Diagnostic. So you can share it with some of your students and get few Smart Diagnostics completed. And if you are able to do 6 Smart Diagnostics with your personal link, then you will get an invite to run a precision remedial for 1 cohort at NEO. Now for that, we will also give you a little one-on-one training, as in, how to start the class, what icebreakers you can use, how you can make the students interact among themselves. So you'll also get some pointers on that. And if you receive good rating from the students, we will also, there is a possibility of us extending a permanent empanelment to you for running such cohort classes as per your time convenience, right? So of course, there would be a monetary angle to it also. And this kind of makes your future foolproof, because this is something that you can do it from anywhere, anytime. And you could be doing it like while traveling, while you're on a vacation. So just do the math. If you do 2 classes a day, and average rate in the market is 500 per class. So if you are able to do just 2 hours every day, and let's say there are 30 days in a month, so you can earn 30,000 without going to school, and just by investing 2 hours while traveling, while pursuing your hobbies, and while creating more impact, because you are giving them what they desperately need. And you also get all the assistance, like, you get the learning gaps beforehand, you get the lesson plan beforehand. All you have to do is facilitate a good, effective session for those 3 to 5 students who are struggling with those gaps and which fall under your expertise. So that is what is the hands-on activity for this session. So now I will share the form link with you all in the chat. And I'm also open for questions. So if any of you have any question around whatever we have discussed or how to participate in the contest, we can take it up now. And oh, by the way, Bindu ma'am has also, taken 1 cohort session with NEO, and while the audience is filling the feedback form and attendance form, Bindu ma'am, I would like you also to share your experience. How was it? Bindu ma'am, are you there? I can't see her. Let me just.
You can hear me?
Yeah, now.
Yes.
Yeah. So the best thing I liked was as you said, I thought that you will be able to show them the lesson plan that you share.
Yeah, I am actually, I will show them. While you share
It's
that.
actually beautiful, right? So we are interacting with children, and this lesson plan clearly depicts where they are missing, What is it that they are missing? And then to work on it, it becomes more easier. And it gives us what you call a gamification angle, an angle in which the children nowadays like to work. Because we as teachers, we are at times very monotonous in doing certain things. So we need to come out of that barrier and we need to bring it in such a way that the platter looks very beautiful. So that lesson plan helps a lot. And we need to break the monotony by giving them activities here and there at a repeated interval so that they are with us. And that the lesson plan really helps and gives us insights as to where to use. So when I did the session with those 3 children, the activities that were the only thing I felt a little upset was that they didn't have the material and I had to do it. Actually, the best way a remedial works is learning by doing. So when I carry out a remedial, it's they do, I'm silent. I just give them like, this is the thing, this is how you have to go, you do, make mistakes, come back. And I'll clear your mistakes. So when that happens and the child does it, the learning goes fast and they feel more confident that, yes, I got it, I did it, I am done. So that's how it went. And I loved the way it went, the session went.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am. And I have found some of these. So I will now share it with the audience also, a glimpse of these lesson plans. So I think this is what you took, right? Electricity and circuit. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Shweta, your screen is visible, but we can't see the plan yet.
Yeah.
We can't see the plan yet. Your screen is shared though. It's showing the chat window, like the Google Meet window. It's showing right now.
Okay. Let me.
I think you'll have to switch the windows. Just switch the tabs probably on your window.
Right. And let me just do it once again. Share entire screen. Share. Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible now. It's absolutely visible.
Okay. So let me go on the top. So electricity and circuit lesson plan. So we start the session with, with some ice-breaking activities and, making them feel a safe and playful environment. Then some diagnostic questions. And then we, give 10 to 20, 25 minutes for the main topic, the crux of it, whatever have been the learning gaps that were identified earlier. And there are in between, live demos, interactive bursts, all of this planned. And these this is also shared. A pre-session brief is also shared with the students, so they also come prepared. And then there are interactive activities that are given to the instructor beforehand, games, ending quiz, how to boost their confidence. They should, when they are going out of the session towards the end, they should feel confident that they have learned something and now they are better than how they were when they entered into the session. And then the final wrap up. And for this, we have tuned our own AI, like we have written multiple versions of prompts on it to perfect it. And we still keep iterating on it, but this is by far the best version that we have reached. And we are constantly working on this. So this is the kind of lesson plan and the kind of report, initially the student report you will get before you facilitate any session. And I think that would be very helpful for you all to deliver a really productive session wherein you already know the gaps of the child. You already know the personality of the child also. So in the holistic profile of the student, you get to see that, what are the behavioral traits, attention, focus of the child. And then you also get a personalized lesson plan for that cohort. And then all you have to do is facilitate it in a way that the students enjoy. And they, after the session, they feel like, they have learned something nice and they had a good time. So with that, I think a lot of you have already filled the form. So great. By tomorrow, you will receive your personalized link to drive the smart diagnostic. And once you cross the threshold of 6, so there is a whole lot of math that we have done, but we need for you to accommodate in the, because we have a lot of profiles from teachers coming in for this role. So we need to be sure that you are or you would be an active member of this experiment. And so we want to ensure that you come with some groundwork, which is why 6 is the number that we are looking at. More the better. If you are able to drive more diagnostics, then we will prioritize your invitation. So then you will get the invitation to take the cohort class on priority. And before taking the class, we will also give you some tips that we have seen that works to make the class successful. And then if you receive good feedback, then we can explore the permanent empanelment. And with that, I wish all of you all the best. And I look forward to having all of you on the permanent empanelment going forward. So you can also roam around the world and enjoy and just take 2-3 hours of neo cohort sessions. And yes, I think we have also wrapped up on time, not exceeded that much. So a small win there. So thank you everyone and have a good evening, and I will see you in the next